Okay, it says preparing to live stream the meeting. Oh my gosh, dude, this is okay. Cool.
Look at that.
First time for everything, right?
It says now streaming live on my end. What's that?
It's it's live.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Okay. All right. Well, go ahead and mute this here because I can see it on my computer here. So here we go. I'm Bobby Stegall from Behind Civilian Lines, and this is the Blue Falcon Podcast, episode 22, with my friend Bryson LIPSCOMB. He's a veteran from the infantry. He and I were together in basic training. So, Bryson, say hello.
Bobby, thank you for having me again. I'm Bryson, and I live in Virginia now. That's where I'm from, and me and Bobby met. I don't even know. Did we meet directly in basic, or did we meet in 30th first? If you can remember
I think it was directly in basic. Remember? Right. No, remember I was already there for 3 months because I got rolled.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man. Oh yeah, it's very funny. Very funny. I went from like week, I don't know,
I'm
7 or 8
with you.
to week 2. Yeah, man, it wasn't funny to me. I'll tell you that right now. I was in basic training for 6 months.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't wish that on anyone anywhere. But yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be on, and like I say, I've been trying my best to catch up on the podcast and your past guests, and so far I'm a fan. I think you're doing a great thing here.
Well, thanks. What was your favorite part about that last podcast with Daryl? I thought that was really cool that that he and I got to sit down and talk like that.
Yeah, Daryl. I think what Daryl touched on, and we spoke about this earlier, when he was talking about his transition from getting out of the Army to now he's a man living on his own without 200 other idiots surrounding him in a barrack somewhere or something.
Right.
And that, I guess that really struck a chord with me because nobody really talks about that enough. He talked about the separation depression, or whatever you want to call it. That's a real thing. It's a real thing and nobody talks about. And this is like not PTSD related. This is for everyone. You can't just go from living in essentially, I always refer to the barracks as like a really clean frat house, because that's what it is.
That's, I lived in both, I guess, now that I think about it. Yeah, you're right.
It's just like, you think about it, you go from that environment where you're living with, like, you're so close with these people, and it's a party all the time. Everybody's drinking, it's always good times in the barracks, and then you get sucked out into reality, and now you're, on your own, and, drinking by yourself and not with everybody else. But
yeah, the bad habits stayed, I guess, but the camaraderie and the discipline to make sure you're taking care of your stuff, kind of, it's a struggle.
Yeah, that's right. But no, I really enjoyed, how open Daryl was able to be, and I think that's what we need more of. And like I said, I think it sparked something in me. I think we all should be more open about, how we feel. I know it kind of sounds like something we would make fun of, and I would to some degree, but
yeah. Oh no,
we all should be
I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of people making fun of us, but at the same time, it takes a little bit of a courage to be able to laugh at yourself and to express all this stuff also.
Yeah, that's right. And I just think we need to talk about it more. Thankfully I've got a coworker at work. He was in the Marines, and we're pretty close now, and it's nice to have that outlet even at work. It's really great because he'll come over to my office, or I'll do the same, go to his, and we'll just close the door and be like, listen what this it just
did you hear this? Yeah. It reminds me of when.
Yeah. But that's nice to have, and I think having those little outlets are important, and I think we all could use more of them. And I think
that's for sure.
It's pretty much the only reason I have a Facebook is to keep in touch with all you nerds.
Yeah, touche. Yeah, I have pretty much every single social media platform out there,
Yeah.
and it's definitely interesting to see how people are doing. You know, it's basically stalking, right, on some level,
Right.
but you don't have to like actually ask anybody else. You know, you can just find out by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got one really close friend. He lives in North Carolina. It's only about 3 hours away, something like that. And we go visit each other often. He comes up here, many times. And, it's never like we've been apart because we always are, messaging each other on, you know, Facebook Messenger or something, some highly inappropriate meme
All
or
right.
something. But it's maintaining the connection.
Right. Well, that's good. And you were mentioning the uh, podcast with or the episode with Daryl last week. It kind of sparked something in you. So you want to dive into? I mean, I have the notes from our discussion. I think it was supposed to be a 15-minute call last week, and it ended up being I don't know, like 2 hours.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh,
I have my notes from all the things you said. So go ahead and dive into something for us.
yeah. So we'll just get deep, I guess, right off the bat. So Daryl,
All right.
also he touched on um, medicating and self-medicating. That's right. That's what we're going to talk about. Self-medicating and the VA medicating and the differences and the similarities, I guess. So we talked about, how it is living in the barracks and you're in this really tight-knit community and everybody's partying all the time. But at the same time, you're living a fairly healthy lifestyle, I would say, to some degree. And in my experience,
Right.
I got home and, everything was, it's just like when you get back from deployment, you're you're riding this high for like, X amount of months. And that's how it was for me, at least ETS. And I got out in June of 2016. And so when I got home, everything, is hunky dory, you're basically on vacation. And then after a couple of
All
months
right. For
go
a month or
by,
two.
the reality of life is setting in, like, okay, now I need to find a job. And now I got to pay rent,
Right.
all these things. And then the separation anxiety and depression start setting in. Like, you just had all your best friends just, ripped away from you. And, you got nobody to talk to, nobody to party with. It's just you. And, I am married and was married at the time. So I had my wife. I don't want to discredit her at all, but, it's not the same. So my
Right.
drinking at least just kept going. And now I had all this time on my hands where in the Army, you don't, that's not really an option to drink from 5 a.m. to 1700 or whenever the hell you get released. So,
Right. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
by
You
then,
got things to do.
yeah, and by then, it's too late to drink. You got to get up and run 8 miles or something the next day.
Right.
And you can pull that trigger if you want. We all did at
Yeah.
one point or another. But,
Yeah. But
and
not too
then,
many times twice, let alone 2 times
yeah,
in a row.
yeah. And so, I got home and I just started drinking and drinking and drinking. And, I stopped working out. I used to be big into powerlifting and stuff. I quit working out and I was just fell into this hole of just, I wasn't doing anything, just working and drinking. And that was it. So
Right.
finally, I ended up going to the VA. I didn't start going to the VA until maybe a year, maybe 2 years after I got out. So I just
Wow.
waited.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I
that.
didn't I
Yeah.
didn't file for anything during the transition process for whatever reason. I think because I didn't want to take extra time. Um, I just wanted to get out like everybody does. So, anyways, once I filed and stuff,
Terrible. Not a good mindset.
yeah, not a good mindset for the future. Um, so I finally
Right.
went to the VA and I started going to that process and therapy and all that. And you know, they just started throwing medications at me. I think we counted, it was like up to 6, maybe 7 different ones within like a
Man.
6-month period of time. Um, and I took them all and kept drinking. So that was not
Oh.
good,
Well.
probably not a great combination. That it was. I will say the VA did strongly disagree with my uh, pattern of drinking.
Okay.
But long
So
story short,
how long had the heavy drinking been going on at that point?
so so yeah, I didn't before deployment. I was like, we'd get drunk on the weekends or we'd get drunk in the bees every now and then. It was no big deal to get hammered, but we weren't drinking consistently. Just like in college, we get drunk on the weekends,
Right.
whatever. And then when I got back from
Okay.
deployment, like I said, you ride that high for me, it was like 6 months until, and we didn't have a crazy deployment at all, especially compared to some. And, uh, but I started to have like these nightmares like 6 months down the road. And for whatever reason, and it would be, crazy stuff that doesn't even happen. And I was like, this can't be real. This isn't service related because I'm having dreams about, crazy things like where it would be in the right setting, but it would be, other stuff. And then you wake up with these overwhelming emotions like guilt and like regret and, you're depressed. And so that's when I would start. I noticed that if I went to bed after I'd had, 6, 7 beers or something, I wouldn't have these dreams. Now you might wake up with a hangover, but I'd rather deal with a hangover than, feeling like a piece of shit first thing out of the bed. So that's when it started for me.
Okay.
And so that would have been 2013. Yeah. Early 2014.
Okay.
And yeah, so I drank heavy from then until uh, August of last year is when I finally gave it up for good. And, a big, big,
Weren't you telling me you're sober now since August?
yep.
Man, congratulations, dude.
Yeah. I did have a Bush NA last night. Bush non-alcoholic beer. Every now and then I'll get a craving for a beer and I'll grab one of those things.
Not fair enough. Okay.
But yeah, no, it's been good. And a big contributor to that is other stuff. Like I've dabbled in Kratom, which you can see that Netflix from Chris Bell, A Leaf of Faith. I watched that, and after I watched that, in which it's all on this plant, called kratom or kratom, however you want to say it. And so that's helped out a
Mhm.
lot. I don't take it very often, but I have before. Another thing is CBD, taking that a lot, here and there. And, there's all these things out there nowadays that, can help, that you don't, that are so much better than drinking, but you would never think about it.
Yeah.
It's,
Well, we were also talking about how purpose, like you were saying, how you found some purpose, um, and some of the things you're doing. I
yeah.
know versus before. I know, like I found the same habits, not having purpose, and you find yourself drinking all the time, or what have you.
Yeah. Yeah. And definitely keeping myself busy around here. So we bought this place about 3 years ago now. It's a little small. It was like a horse farm, boarding, training farm that was really dilapidated and run down. And so that has endless opportunities to keep me busy. And so I've really been pouring
Yeah.
myself into that and just around the house, the house is like landscaping and stuff like that was all run down. And um, but the farm itself, I mean, is a business. It's not a good one at all because I haven't had very little profits here and there, but it's coming and it's definitely something I like to think about and pour a lot of money and time into. But it's coming along.
What kind of animals did you say you have? Did you say you have goats?
Yeah, we raise a type of meat goat called a boar goat, American boar goat.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
yeah, I don't know how or why we got started in this. Well, I'll tell you how.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
one thing.
Please do.
About like a year after I got out, I was just looking for things to fill all of this time I now had. And so we were like,
Right.
let's get some goats, just to fuck with, just to have something to feed and keep alive. And so we ended up getting I bought these 3 boar goats.
So wait, well, some people get a dog. I'm just saying, some people get a dog for
Well,
that.
we were renting this little single wide trailer, and we couldn't have pets. And we wanted a pet, but we couldn't have it. And so we got these 3 goats, and they were these type of meat goats, and then we got sucked into the business from there, and it's just grown since. But
So how many
we
goats do you have now?
Oh, I actually had a really bad winter as far as keeping them alive. We had like 4 die this winter from different diseases, but I don't know. I think we have like
Whoa.
around 20 right now. But
You have 20 right now?
yep. Started with 3.
Wow.
And that's
Okay.
I mean, that's selective breeding. That's not, if we just let them go wild, I'd probably have 50, but that's, keeping
How often is the cycle?
the gestation period.
Yeah.
It's like 155 days.
Okay. Like, was that 4 months?
I think it's like 5 months,
6 months?
something like that.
Yeah, 5 or 6 months.
We tried to have a cat one time. Some of our really good friends had a bunch of cats, and this cat had kittens in the wood pile, and we're like, okay, we're gonna take this little kitten, essentially this feral kitten, home and try to make it a pet. And we don't know anything about cats and stuff, but we got like a litter box and like a little cage and stuff, and we named it Dwight because we like The Office. So Dwight.
Oh my gosh.
uh,
Okay, that's good.
So with this cat, like it would not use the litter box. It would like pee in the corners and on the walls and like take a dump in the
Oh,
floor.
that's so gross, dude. No,
Yeah, and like
can't do it. Not for
this
me.
cat was driving us nuts, and we like tried to lock it in the bathroom at night, so it, like, at least if it did something, it would be on the linoleum floor. And then it just like reached under the door. It was like clawing the door like a little demon. And so we got it one night. We put it in a little cage
That's
at the other end of the trailer. And the next morning we wake up and we open our bedroom door, and the smell hit us of like, I can't explain it, but this cat had pissed, shit,
I don't need
vomited, and then like rolled in it.
Oh gosh.
And so we were like, me and my wife were like trying to clean
Oh my
it
gosh.
up, and she was like, "Get rid of it, just get rid of the cat." She just screams, "Get rid of it," and that's all I needed to hear was "get rid of it"
Right.
at that point, because you can imagine the mood. First thing in the morning, you got to deal with that. So I grabbed the little
Oh my
thing
gosh.
and I walked it out to the shed with the old Glock 17, and that was the end of Dwight.
Oh my gosh. That was a really intense intense story. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one time I tried to have a cat as a pet.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys need a dog now. Now that I think about my previous statement, I'm glad that you guys don't have a dog.
We've got dogs. We've got dogs.
Right. I'm guessing their names are like Michael. Let's see here. Pam. You probably have a Pam. How are they doing?
Oh yeah, no. We went a different route with the dogs, I think. It didn't work out so well the first time, so we took a different path. Excuse me. And just for anyone who is going to watch this, I just want to preface this. Excuse my allergies. It's the terrible time of year for myself. So I'm just slowly dying. So pardon the eyes welling and
Sounds like it.
All of the good stuff.
Well, that's what working on a farm does for you. You have that extra, piece of nature that joins you every day.
Yeah, I guess that's a way. Yeah, that's a very
versus being in the city. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you would think I would be used to it, although I just look like a pussy crying and snot.
No. Yeah. No, you're good. So back to you mentioned your wife though. So let's hit on that, because I don't think I've ever met her. I know you told me about her, but go ahead and tell the listeners.
So me and my wife have been married for almost 7 years now. No kids. Um, we got married
Did
right
she have a
after I got
name,
back from the
or
Army.
did you just call her
No.
wife?
Yeah, so Mackenzie is her name,
Okay.
or Mac is what I normally call her. Um, no, we've known each other our whole lives. Our families have been friends. She grew up right down the road from me. Uh, it just was the right thing to do and the easy thing to do. I shouldn't say the easy thing to do, but
Yeah, that sounded terrible. You are in so much trouble right now. You better.
she's not one.
What's your favorite thing about Mackenzie? Here, I'll save
Oh,
you.
dude,
I'll
so
throw
she's
you
a nurse.
an olive branch.
She's a nurse. She's an RN, and she works for a hospice company, and which is crazy if you ask me, because you're working hospice, you're dealing with death every day, and uh, she's like the kindest person I've ever met. She's just the kindest soul, and I think that makes her perfect, for the career path she's chosen. And um, why she's with me, I have no idea, but maybe it balances my asshole-ish demeanor out. So,
I'm gonna have to definitely categorize this episode as explicit now.
uh,
Counted the words. We're definitely exceeded it, so we're good.
oh, you were counting? Oh boy.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm just messing with you.
But no,
All right. Well, so I was curious about Mackenzie. Like, what's been her reaction to the like the stages of the transition from the military? Like,
yeah,
what's
that's a
should
good
be
way to
without
put it.
her? I
Stages.
guess kind of.
Yeah, because definitely
Okay.
it is
Cool.
stages. That's good to think about. But she's been super supportive. She wanted me to go to the VA and get see somebody and talk to somebody, and or not necessarily the VA. She just wants me to talk to somebody. And you know, even when I was drinking heavily, she was with me. And at the time, she was working in the ICU in the hospital, in the medical ICU, and she would like have these patients, these old, like super duper alcoholic people, and she would just tell me stories about it. She's like, "This is gonna be you if you don't, get your shit together," pretty much. And you know,
Oh,
you would think that would be all it would take, but I kept on for a while. But she's been with me, man, and like I said, so supportive. And since I've this past almost year now, she definitely has enjoyed the change. I'm just a better person, when I'm not drunk all the time.
well, it sounds like she's very loyal to be with you this long, and maybe she saw something in you, uh,
Oh yeah.
knowing that you turn around.
Oh yeah. And you'd have to be loyal to put up with me. She's no matter what, she's
Heard
there,
that.
and I love her to death.
That's awesome. Well, Mackenzie, I look forward to hopefully meeting you one day. And I also want to cut in here. I'm going to post on our Blue Falcon podcast Facebook page that we're live. Just curious to see
Okay.
how that plays out.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool. All right, we're doing things live here, folks. This is a live audience, so no judgment. We're all the judgment. Don't really care. I also want to hit on who are some of your boys you want to give shout outs to um,
Oh
from
yeah.
the
So
military.
some of the guys I'm still tight with, Taylor Williams, my boy in North Carolina. Shout out to him. Shout out to David Williams down there. You can hit him up on Instagram. I don't have his info here, but he's running like a gun range down there, doing crazy things.
Oh, we're at.
I'd have to send you the link, but to be honest, I don't know exactly what he does. I think he's a cop, but I think he's like, what, he like runs a range at the same time. I don't know. He's got the craziest Instagram.
Well, let's call him up. Let's ask him.
Yeah, yeah,
What's his Instagram? We'll have the audience get on it for us.
yeah. Let me find it.
This is why we need Daryl Brownfield here. He could be our Jamie.
Oh, it's like Doc Hollywood. Okay, yeah, that's what it is. It's Doc Hollywood, DOC Hollywood, all under lowercase and then underscore actual. So it's Doc Hollywood underscore actual. Check him out. I think he's making some holsters and stuff out there. Damn, I wasn't prepared for shout outs. I'd get all my little business cards together and give all the love out.
That's pretty awesome of you. Okay, well, who else is on the list that you can think of? And we can always come back and you can send me a video and I could, strip it in.
It's, my boy Josh ONeal up in Maryland. He's a Purple Heart vet.
Awesome.
He's doing big things. Actually, a security guard on a pot farm. So he's kind of living what I would say the ex-infantry dream. He rides around on a forklift with a gun and guards weed all day.
Yeah, yeah, in America, this time.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, weed and heroin, right?
Yep. Talking about Afghanistan for anybody who doesn't get that reference.
Yeah, if you ever wonder,
there's no magical place we're talking about.
If you ever wonder why America is in Iraq and Afghanistan, just look up heroin.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and skirt that one. Breeze on by, and let's also talk about one of my favorite topics for especially those who are in a position to give out some really good advice, which is, believe it or not, Bryson, that's you right now. Let's talk about your management style in the civilian world compared to what we're used to in the Army. And I'm also going to stand up and turn this light on real fast. So, you can talk. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so Bobby and I had a previous conversation. We talked about the SFL TAP, which stands for the Soldier for Life Transition Assistance Program, and some of the things that they do. And again, this is all in my experience. I went through a SFL TAP in Italy with the 173rd. So being a leader in the Army, I got out as a E5. I was a team leader, and getting out as a leader, manager, supervisor, and then transitioning into the civilian world where I've now become a manager, team leader again, has been a huge learning curve for me, and I never realized how easy the military makes it to be a leader, because you have, ultimately the ultimate power. And not that, everybody's on a power trip or anything, but, it's easy. Everybody has respect. Everybody uses the chain of command.
Yeah, it's a respect thing.
Yeah, everything is in line, and set up to be easy. And not that it's easy by any means to be a leader in the military, but at least in my experience, it was. I feel like I knew what to do, because I started out as a PFC and, worked my way up.
Ooh, you're gonna put your phone on mute. You have like half the listeners right now yelling at you, for sure. That was a loud ping.
This is my wife.
Just messing with you, but seriously.
I'll try to work on that while I talk. But moving into being a manager, I'm still a like first line supervisor type. I have a crew of 10 to 12 people, give or take. And what I didn't realize, and this might be just an infantry thing, it might be an Army thing as a whole, is we just come off different, I think. And this is one of the things me and my buddy at work definitely relate to is everyone thinks like, why are you mad? Why are you an asshole?
What's wrong?
Why are you being the HR word for it is directive.
Directive. That's a new one to me.
And I'm naturally, or you call it naturally after the military, but it's ingrained in you. Military leadership is very directive. Okay, I need you to do this at this time. This is how you're going to do it. This is when it needs to be done. this is what you're going to do when you're done. And in the civilian world, and again, in my experience, it doesn't always pay to be like that. Again, it's easy to be that type of very directive, almost to a micromanagement, level. And that's micromanagement is what the military does. That's why you have a team that can't be more or shouldn't be more than 3 to 4 people, because you can't micromanage more than 3 or 4 people. It's impossible.
Right.
But moving into this civilian leadership role, it has taught me a lot of patience. It has definitely paid dividends to be a better listener. And that's one thing I credit, listening to podcasts, listening to Joe Rogan, and how he can so elegantly traverse a conversation, even difficult conversations. But it to just calm down, basically, and I don't know, I've learned so much just to listen to people.
No, that's a great.
That's ultimately what
I feel awful interrupting. What
listening
you're saying is listen to people.
Yeah.
There's a delay though.
Oh, maybe I can do it now. I'm sorry. I'm not a
That's
Mac,
hilarious.
do you know
Okay.
how to do mute on a Mac? Because I don't.
I do actually. You ready? All right.
Yeah.
So anyone else who's listening to this information, I hope it's very useful for everyone else who knows how to do this. Sit back and just give us a minute here. So you go to your preferences, system preferences, top left.
Uh-huh.
Then go to your audio, which is, well, I was trying to make that easy on you. Okay, don't do that. Go to top right, click on the sound, like the little thing with beams coming out, waves.
Yeah, I got it.
Go to sound preferences. Okay. Sound effects. You're going to want to go ahead and turn that to off or silence. Got it?
Being slow. Hold on. Man, just great content we're pumping out right now. Just
Hey, I'm telling you, I can go ahead and hashtag this Mac help, nerd advice, right?
yeah. Play user interface sound effects. Is that what you said, uncheck? Once I get to the sound preferences.
Yeah, so you can do the alert volume. Just turn all that all the way down.
Oh, okay. Alert volume, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's right above where you just mentioned that. Okay.
All right.
Cool. Walk everybody through it.
Sweet. We did it.
And if you're in your car right now listening to this, you don't really care about this at all. But
Not at all.
so as we were talking about interrupting people and just listening and having patience,
That's
the
right.
people who are listening right now obviously had patience to sit through that. So thanks, guys.
Yeah.
That
would be a lot of patience.
What are the things? Yeah. What other things have you learned? Okay, so you had some good points there. Patience, listening. What are some other good things you've developed and how you developed them? You mentioned podcast.
Yeah. I don't know. It probably sounds really weird to credit podcast to anything, but
No, that's
yeah,
you can get a lot of information from podcast.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I've really had my ups and downs with learning. Like I said, I've been in HR's office more times than I can count. Just from things that were just who I am, things that I thought were normal and that are not normal. We've all seen the memes on Facebook, but just
Which ones?
humbling humility. It takes a lot of humility, and I hate to be that guy to say I'm because I'm not humble at all, but just to have enough humility just to step back from a situation and realize, like, listen, this doesn't matter that much. Just chill out, and move on. And a lot of that has been in the past year, because drinking and stuff like that does not help that at all. That doesn't, at least drinking to excess, when it's in your system like that. But you know, and just the ultimate learning tool is experience, time and experience, and thankfully my job
Right.
has worked with me up to the point, and I've been able to learn, from these experiences and stuff, and kind of leave that old sergeant behind, as hard as that may be.
So another aspect of that I think that you could relate to, it took you a long time to earn that sergeant, right?
Yeah, 4 years, just over 4 years. Yeah.
Right. I mean, not like you specifically, but I just mean like, it takes, 4 years to get that point of respect with somebody who's a stranger to you, right? Like a
Yeah.
new guy comes into the unit and you're a stranger to them, but because you have that on your uniform, automatically there's a level of this guy knows what he's talking about to this level,
Yeah.
this much
That's right.
respect.
That's right.
So I think that's and I just kind of realized this as we're talking here, which is why I love doing this podcast, because sometimes it's therapeutic for me, or every time it is.
Yeah.
But the reality for me was that a stranger doesn't know how much training I have. Having the EOD badge on my uniform meant a lot, like
Yeah.
right. But I can't wear this purple shirt out in public, and people would be like, "That guy knows about finances for sure." Like there's no
I don't know. Maybe.
level of respect. Maybe. Well, if I'm like, "Hey guys, you got your order wrong. There's actually this much money."
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd probably think that guy is definitely personal finance.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with what you're saying. And there's not that. Well, there is. I mean, you understand it. I see chain of command. Everywhere's got a chain of command, but not everywhere follows it. And I would probably go out on a limb and say that most places probably don't follow the chain of command to the degree that the Army does. And for me, that is super frustrating, because it's, when I see someone 3 places above me, my boss's boss's boss, that respect is ingrained, just
Right.
okay, lock up, basically. Um,
Right.
and not everybody has that. And not everybody was taught that the way we were taught. And I think we talked about this. 2 years of mandatory military service would do people a lot of good.
Yeah, I mean, or some capacity, not necessarily just military to me, but some kind of like community,
Yeah.
I guess involvement would be good. The number one thing, like right now, I'm trying to stay away from though is politics. It seems like everyone's so upset on Facebook that man,
Oh,
this the social media interactions that I've seen lately, it reminds me of kind of like high school. Like when you get to kind of pick who you talk with and hang out with, but you kind of know what's going on with everybody.
mhm.
I feel like we're just in a giant high school right now.
Yeah, it's definitely an experiment for sure. And now they're, especially when you hear conversations about uh, the internet becoming a public utility instead of, remaining private. Or when the government buys Twitter, for instance, which is a conversation that's happening. Because that's what,
Hear about that? Oh.
yeah, because it's such a large form of communication. But yeah, it is like high school out there. It's funny.
It's funny. So I guess where I'm going with that comment is you have to get on TikTok. You gotta try out TikTok.
Yeah, I'm on TikTok.
You are? Okay.
Yeah, I don't do the TikToks. I think I'm what you call a creeper. I just watch. I like to watch.
The the other thing that you mentioned with the you threw me off, man.
Yeah, you didn't think I had a TikTok, did you?
No, you didn't. Okay. All right. I told you to get it and you listened to me. I appreciate that. So what kind of videos do you watch on there? Like for me, like the military videos of like the fighter pilots, like those are my favorite. Those are
Yeah.
awesome.
Are they like the little educational ones? Is that what you're talking about? That's
Oh
the
no,
ones
just
that
like
I
the
see.
fighter pilot GoPro. Which one's
Oh,
okay?
okay.
So which
Yeah,
ones do
it'll
you
be
see?
like a
That's
clip.
another thing about this.
It'll
The algorithm's different.
Yeah, it's, what I see is, like, actual pilots will be, I don't know, explaining the F-35 missile system or whatever. You know, I see a lot of
Oh,
that.
cool.
I usually try to not like any military videos, so I don't see them as much, just because sometimes it gets old to me. Um,
Right.
I lean towards a lot of, like, the farm stuff, the construction stuff, because I have, like, this obsession with, like, heavy equipment. I could watch somebody dig a hole all day, I think, with a track hoe or a excavator.
You were definitely at one point in the government, and that's a government job right there. Just watching people dig
Yeah.
holes.
Yeah, even when I was, in the
Heck yeah.
Army, and I went through, like, the Bradley fighter course one time, which is, like, 300 and some hours, I don't know. And like the engineers would dig like these big dugout uh pits, like the fighting positions, basically, where you could sit down and then drive up and shoot and then back down in there.
Oh,
And that
okay.
was like the
Yeah.
coolest thing to me. I was like, look at this giant fucking hole, this thing is like, those guys
Just
have a
demolishing,
cool job.
moving a lot of earth.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then you get to drive this massive vehicle down in the hole, and I don't know, that is cool. If you grew up like full wheeling and stuff, that was like driving a Bradley. I remember being so giddy, like a little schoolgirl, the time I ran over this big ass pine tree. I thought it was like the greatest thing. It was better than any roller coaster I've ever been on. It was so cool. So
Yeah, there's definitely unique experiences we get to have in the military.
yeah,
My
that's the kind of
my
stuff I
favorite, of
like to.
course, is the dumb. Oh, sorry. Yeah, but my favorite is the dumb picture of me with a 249 topless, right?
Yeah,
No shirt, aviators.
yeah,
Um, oh, no, aviators. Those are ribbons. But the idea of shooting a machine gun, from your hip, like since a kid, since you saw like Rambo,
yeah,
uh, or any movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, you're like, yes, one day I want a machine gun, just
yeah.
shooting.
Hmm.
And so that's another reason why I thought it was a funny cover picture. It's not really
Yeah,
to be like how cool I am. It's actually like, hey, how stupid is this? Like I got to do this.
yeah, yeah. We all had that time where you probably looked around and like, can you believe we're actually doing this right now? Like, no one's telling us not to.
Yeah, like where's someone to say no? No, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we're doing it.
Yep. Exactly. Oh yeah, lots of stories like that. Uh, Geez, we did so much stuff. We could talk about stupid shit from the army and deployments all day long. That's what I
Well,
look forward to.
go ahead. That's what I want to hear. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying I look forward to when like you have Teasley on here or somebody, because he's just a funny dude in general.
No, you guys together were a cute couple. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
Y'all are really funny together.
yeah, I miss Hugo Teasley very much. He was probably my most preferred bottom, and he's really good in that role, and he got me through basic training. There was some long cold nights, and him and I together with our sock insulated genitalia, we made it through.
Uniforms. Yeah, yeah. for all the civilians listening right now and my family, also, I guess, this is a reference to a joke that was probably one of the highlights of basic training, just because we're in that situation where everything is almost dreadful. Like the only happy times were 3 times a day when you got fed.
Yeah, yeah,
And so we had a big, the funniest, oddest things became like, remember that one time when they did, that was, so those
yeah,
stories definitely live on forever. I feel like, because they're so important.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And that's one of the things you miss. You feel like you stop making those memories and stuff like that. But when that's not the case, you're making new ones. And and that's been hard
Yeah,
to learn. And so, but here I am. I think I've had probably the best year or 8 months since being out of the Army. I probably had the best 8 months. Yeah.
that's
But
awesome, man.
I think I certainly don't think, or I don't hope that's everyone's transition period or length of time. I hope it doesn't take you that long to get your stuff together. But I definitely think platforms like this and platforms like Facebook and stuff like that are definitely great assets to have in keeping us in touch. And I want to encourage, anyone out there to just get in touch, with somebody that you got something in common with, from the military.
Right.
It's just important, I think, and we don't do it enough because of our egos and stuff like that. And I certainly still struggle with that on a day-to-day basis. But
I don't think you have an ego, because I know I don't. So there's no way you could have an ego. If you don't have one, I don't have one.
with a shirt like that, I don't see how you could have an ego.
Okay, Grizzly Adams. The next topic I definitely want to hit on, and by all means, I know we've been going for, it says 46 minutes on YouTube. Do we have you for another 30 minutes, 15 minutes?
Sure.
How long is your wife Mackenzie gonna let you mess around on this?
No, you got me, man. Let's go. I can do another 15
All right,
minutes.
cool. All right. So I thought another cool idea, and you could ask Mackenzie or any other military spouses out there that want to try this out, but give like a woman's perspective or like a spouse perspective of what it's like with a soldier that's going through those stages, right? Because I bet they, obviously have a heavy weight
Yeah.
on them as well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a spouse that was, living on base or in government housing or what have you. That was an interesting thing with me and my wife. Like the first 3 years we were married, we were never living together. She was in nursing school up here, and when we first got married, I was living in Georgia, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Long weekends I could drive up or whatever, or she could come down. But then when I got orders to go to Italy, that's when we had to make the tough decision for her to stay here and stay in school. Because if she would have moved to Italy with me, excuse me, she would have had to drop out of nursing school, and you can't do that online. So it would have been just a waste because,
Oh, right.
yeah, we're never on base anyways. We're always out training. So then she would have been in a foreign country, no friends,
So
no
what's the point?
family,
Not continuing her education.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So, it was hard,
Okay.
those first 3 years, but we made it work, and it definitely made us stronger for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. What's your favorite part about the, I guess, aspect of being married and out of the military, and like your whole lives ahead of you, like as a couple? Like, what are some things you're looking forward to now that like that time is gone?
Well, one thing that I've learned or realized and learned to love is how much of a partnership marriage is, in every aspect. It's not just,
Hmm.
hunky dory, we love each other, now we have a home and we'll live happily ever after. And it's like the things I really get a lot of fulfillment out of is when it comes to the decision making, when you have to come together as two adults, as two friends and make a financial decision together or whatever it is. Um, and you just so happen to love each other. And I think that's really cool when you have that, with your wife, because we are best
Right.
friends, and you know it just makes it easy. And I've enjoyed watching
And
the
you guys got 20 goats together,
yeah, that's right. But I've enjoyed
right? That's a
watching
big
how
deal.
the relationship has grown and developed. Yesterday we were just joking around. We just made the decision that I'm going to use a separate bathroom, and she was like, "I feel like we're really becoming a real husband and wife because this is what husband and wife did. I was like, okay.
It's a real conversation. Like this is actually happening.
Yeah,
right?
This is adulting, as they say. No,
oh man, I'm sure she's gonna love you for bringing that one up.
Yeah. No, it's been a good relationship.
So,
I definitely we have it easy, I think, compared to some. When I see other couples and out in public or whatever, we'll always talk about it when we get home. Like, can you believe that's how they like? She talks to him like that, or vice versa. You see it a lot, and thankfully we don't have that.
No.
If we're gonna fight, we're gonna do it behind closed doors, and
because it's probably gonna be that intense, right? Like that's that, and to me, that's my opinion.
Probably, yeah.
Right. Like it's gonna be some like real
point,
serious conversation. You don't want to hear everyone. You don't want everyone to hear it. It's just gonna be like.
Yeah, it definitely. It got to that point where we need it to go off to the side. It's going to be something serious. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's better than bickering in public. I mean, me and my girlfriend fight all the time about that. Like I hate. I'm kidding. But yeah, she's yeah. There's no need for it, and I think you definitely have a good perspective for people getting out of the military, or I guess anybody in general that's going through their early 30s. You're 30 years old, you said?
Yeah,
turned 30. All right. So it's kind of like there's a growing up period that happens between like 29 and 35, in my opinion, of just that old lifestyle of going to hang out with your friends versus like we have like real things to get done, but we can make this fun also, like because I'm with the person I love, so I'm glad to hear you say that. Like that's definitely a good perspective on the relationship.
Yeah, and I definitely feel that that change happening, and I look forward to the next few years because like I said, we don't have kids, but we've definitely been talking about it more seriously, at least recently, and that's exciting and terrifying all at the same time. So.
Well, I was wondering about the beard that you have. Are you like trying to grow it out for Santa?
Yeah,
this year.
My dad's got a solid white beard, so maybe I'll get lucky and get that too. I got a couple grays in there.
Oh my gosh!
But no, when I first got out of the Army, I didn't shave for 13 months because I told myself I wasn't going to shave for the first year, just out of spite. Yeah, and so I did it, and then I've been on and off ever since, and I just so happened to have this very dark Muslim-looking beard that I can really mess with some people sometimes.
We definitely need to talk about getting a TikTok video on that because that would be.
When we first moved in here, I had like this really long beard, and I was like, man, you really want to make sure that the neighbors don't come over and visit. We'll just get the goats up in the field. I'll put on like a full man dress and turban and get like my stick and then just be out there like walking with the goats all day long. That would be great. I've always wanted to do that.
I don't understand how that's going to lead to any
probably a couple phone
positive
calls
things.
Some cops maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, or your neighbors thinking, do we have Muslim living here? Because I saw him with a American flag flying out of his truck the other day. And I can't put my finger on that guy.
He's an imposter.
He must have a twin. Yeah,
that's what it is. But no, that is funny. Having this beard and raising goats and being a vet, I definitely get a lot of comments and jokes at work, like, "Oh, you spent too much time in Afghanistan. Oh, you got them goats." Huh?
Oh man.
Yeah, I get all of that.
Well, I mean, your goat business is, I'm sure, profitable at some level, whether it's financial or like personally. Getting something out of.
Yeah, we'll lean on the personally side of it for now.
Yeah, the bank's not right. Yeah. That's usually how it goes. Me and the bank have an agreement We have a business together.
Yeah, that's
It's kind of like how farms go.
yeah. They own all this. I just take care of it.
Yeah, that's funny. It's so I grew up on a farm in Oklahoma, and so it's kind of one of those things that any farmer, doesn't matter what state you're in,
Mm-hmm.
from California to Virginia, you're guaranteed to have the same mentality of like how things go.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I just talked to a guy today. It's like 1 week, I swear I'm gonna sell all these animals and just be done with it and just mow grass. And the next week I'm all fired up about it again. And I was just kind of venting to him, and he's been in the cattle industry for decades, and he was like, every farmer says that. Every farmer is like,
My dad says that every other week.
yeah. And it's just, I don't know. I go through these slumps, like where I feel like my damn fence is busted again. It's the third time this week or something. And like, screw all this, just be done with it. Wouldn't it be nice just to come home from work and not have to feed anything other than myself? Yeah, that'd be cool.
You're killing me right now. This is hilarious. You have got to talk with my dad. I feel like I call, his beard is not as long as yours, but he has a long beard.
Yeah.
So that's hilarious. So, and you've been doing this for
A few, about 5 years now. So we're still,
about 5 years.
yeah.
Oh, that's a long time, man. Like, yeah, give yourself some credit. Like 5 years, I'd never been a goat farmer, but I imagine that's a lot of work.
Yeah, and we've been taking it slow. Like I said, we bought this place. It was really run down. So I was thankful to not have just bought like a whole herd, because you can do that. You can find people selling 30, 40 head of animal, whatever it may be, and you can just jump right in and not have, your P's and Q's together. And thankfully, I've done it the slow way. So I've had time to build, the correct fences and all that stuff. So definitely going at it slow has been beneficial because it gives me time to read and research and talk to people and learn and you know
Well, you don't really make any sense there. Like, talk to people and learn. Like, what are you saying? Networking? Is that what you're saying right now?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, networking. Like I was telling you, I got my truck stuck. Thankfully my neighbor has a 500 some acre farm down the road with plenty of tractors that was able to get me unstuck. So
Well, you owe him a favor now. That's why he was happy to help you.
yeah, I'll help him get up some hay or something.
Farmers carry those IUIs.
Yeah,
IOUs are like gold in the farming
yeah,
community
yeah. Well,
because you're good for it. Like, like
yeah,
if you do
exactly.
something to help somebody, now that there's a mutual agreement. Hey man, if I ever need you, I can call you to see if you can at least
Yeah,
help me. If not, I know it's for a reason.
yeah, yeah.
You know.
And part of that is being an adult, I think, as well. I got one of my good friends at work. He's an electrician. He doesn't live that far from me, and I've got some equipment that is beneficial to him. One time a year where I use it all year. So if he needs a load of gravel or something delivered, yeah, I'll do it because, and I won't ask for anything or take anything because I guarantee you I'm going to have some wiring I'm going to have an issue with, and all I know is I have to give him a call and he'll come help. So
Yeah.
it's nice to have those relationships.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a really good point. I don't know why I intentionally went to networking. No, you're right. That is just being like a responsible adult,
Yeah.
creating those relationships
Yeah.
between that are mutually beneficial. It doesn't have to be at work. Like, it can be
Yeah.
in the personal life.
Well, you get that sense of community as well. We moved down here to this area. It's not too far from where I grew up, but it's like a different world. Like we're pretty far out here. And I didn't know
Oh,
anybody.
okay.
It's like a different high school
What's
area.
your address for everyone listening on YouTube?
We live in the
I'm kidding.
Long
I'm kidding.
Island,
No,
Virginia
don't say
area.
it.
I'm not giving you my
Oh,
address,
okay.
crazy.
Okay.
I give you the area code. um, but no, so and so we moved down here, and that kind of I think added to the whole feeling isolated feeling was, now I don't know anyone. I don't know my neighbors.
Hmm.
When I got this job, I didn't know anyone that worked there or have anything in common with anyone that worked there was the big thing. But the longer you stay somewhere, and if you take that active role and seeking that sense of community, it's there. And I think I'm finally slowly finding it. And you know, it's a good thing to have. And it's, like I said, I think just part of becoming an adult, and growing up.
Okay. What's funny about this, I guess, idea of being an adult and doing these things is hopefully anybody who's like in their 40s or older that's listening to this could probably relate,
Yeah.
right? But I think our main crowd of people listening would be those who are in their 20s who think that when they get out of college or get out of the military, it's going to be easy because you have everything. Like you've submitted resumes,
Yeah.
you've done your LinkedIn, you've XYZ on this piece of paper.
Yeah.
But developing those relationships, especially at a young age, I believe is the most important thing that somebody can do, whether they're civilian or veteran.
Yeah. Yep. Just getting tight with somebody, with a few people. I mean, that's helps out a lot.
Right. And have something to offer, I guess is definitely what I'm getting at, with
Right.
the whole that farmer coming over to help you.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so how can you help other people at a young age? Because eventually, trust me, when you get in your late 20s, 30s, I mean, especially with, things the way they are right now, having those personal relationships that you've developed over the past years by helping somebody else when you didn't have to, but because you're knowing that that's a relationship that'll pay you back
Yeah.
in dividends, whether personally or with help.
Right.
So developing those early will help you get through those times like right now with the
Yeah.
a pandemic and all this stuff. That's
Yeah.
my opinion.
You're in Tennessee, right? Or you're in
I hope
Oklahoma?
so. Last time I checked. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Good question.
So you live in Tennessee?
Yeah, I didn't move back to Oklahoma when I got out. No,
What made you do that?
I was in Fort Campbell, basically.
Uh,
Right. Yeah. I mean, I live Tennessee. My mom's from here in Nashville, so I moved down there with family for the first year when I got out, so 2018.
yeah.
And honestly, you have no. First thing that comes to mind is that you have no state income tax, which is great. But the reason I stayed is the weather's beautiful here. I mean,
Yeah.
you literally have every single season. Hopefully, sometimes all in 1 month.
Yeah. We get a
But
lot of that over here.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I went to
exactly. So
Nashville
I'm in
for the first
Knoxville.
time. Went to Nashville for the first time, I think last year. That was crazy. Nashville is, wow.
Yeah, yeah,
There's so many
yeah.
people,
So
so many bars. Like, it was too much. It was way too much.
yeah, it's not just the bars either. It's that people our age who live in Nashville. So I live in Knoxville now, but I lived in Nashville, and in Nashville, for people our age, there's this. It's kind of like the military barracks thing. There's these people you run with, and it's always like let's go do day lunch at this expensive restaurant with these drinks that are the best in town. Everything's the best in town. Before you know it, like you're the broke person in town.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Yeah.
but Knoxville, it's same thing as Nashville, like the personalities, but it's a little slower, more spread out.
Right.
You have the mountains here, so yeah, I love Knoxville. I don't think I'm lucky to have wandered here eventually.
Yeah. I think that's so cool to live in a different state. Like I said, I'm 30 minutes from 25 minutes from where I grew up, so I was kind of, I don't know. I felt like I was done traveling. When I was with the 173rd, we went to so many different places and visited so many cities, and it was fun. It
And
was great.
that's in Italy, right?
Yeah, and right. So, and we traveled not just with work, but you get a long weekend. It was so easy to hop on a bird and for €50 and go wherever you wanted. So we did a lot of that, and I don't know. When I got out, I was just get me home. I'm a homebody, anyways. I like to be at least somewhat close to my family, and um, I just love it here. I not so much right now during this pandemic. It's getting crazy with some political stuff, but hopefully that'll all pass here soon. We're not as bad as California, but there are jokes about Virginia becoming the California of the East Coast is a real thing. Um, it's getting weird.
Man, I hope not.
Yeah, I hope
I
not
hope
too.
not. So again, we'll go ahead and just let that one pass on by, letting politics. Once you get me started on the political discussion, I think it's a YouTube video that has not been made and shouldn't be made, because I'll go for hours on it. So let's
Yeah, I understand.
I do think one thing specifically, those the takeaway from that is have an effect on your local community. Like, we can't affect the nation, right? We can't control what everyone else thinks. What we can do is serve your community. Right. And so during this pandemic, I think people's true colors will come out, even if the color is purple. Okay.
It's lavender.
Oh my gosh, it actually is lavender. I ordered it as lavender. Okay, all right. Calm down. Okay, don't make me bring up the sock story with Hugo again. All right. So have a positive effect on your local community is what I'm saying. Don't worry about what's going on in the nation. You can't control that.
Yeah, that's right. And we've been lucky. We haven't been really touched. Our lives haven't changed because of anything really. And like I said, that's just luck. I'm glad to have a job where I'm still able to go in and get paid. And it is scary for some people, but it's just gotta take it day by day.
Well, let's talk.
Go ahead. I'm gonna get off that.
Let's no, I was just trying to, and then you totally
my back, I know.
Yeah. You pulled a Kanye West and threw him off the stage as I'm trying to help you out here. The next topic is Memorial Day. So this is Memorial Day 2020, in the middle of all this craziness. As a veteran and somebody who deployed, because I did not deploy, so my time overseas is nilch, right? But as somebody who went through the service that you did, how does Memorial Day feel for you? And what are some of your thoughts on it?
I don't know. It's definitely a time to reflect on the men and women that didn't make it. I think that's the important thing, but and I think everybody takes that or handles that differently. I'll check up periodically throughout the day, and just whenever I'm reminded that it is Memorial Day, and just have a thought, try to remember a nice thought about somebody that I know that's passed. And just remembering the families. They gave up a bunch, a whole bunch. And they're the ones that still live with it. It ain't the service member. So I don't know. I'm not a big Memorial Day activist, telling people to stop drinking beer and grilling brats because it's Memorial Day. What you want to do, don't let me affect your day off of work. But I definitely think if you're looking to celebrate it in the right way, just give them a thought. That's all.
Okay. So I mentioned this to you earlier, and this is definitely new, but I thought maybe I'd give a quick moment of silence and a prayer for the service members who didn't make it back, and for their families and friends.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Give 10 seconds. All right. So on that note, how's your Memorial Day been? And has it been something that you will definitely remember for the rest of your life?
this Memorial Day in particular,
Yep.
It's been uneventful. We're not doing anything crazy. I might cook something tonight, but like I said, I handle it differently, almost on a year-to-year basis. You know, as I change, and I think as my ways I process things change. I won't. I don't have any big plans. You know, it's a good day. It's been a nice day. It hasn't rained. You know, I'll take it
I'm
on.
still thinking how much of a farmer you sound like right now, because I know for a fact that you did not have a great day because you got stuck,
Yeah,
and yet that's like already out of your mind. Like you already forgot about that. Like that
yeah,
is a farmer mentality.
yeah. Well, it happens, and it's my fault. So I try to learn from
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So yeah, but no, I was.
Oh,
I'll take a moment to myself. Um, at some point today, and just probably look at some old pictures or something, and just reflect. There's plenty of opportunity. If you don't have that, it's plenty of opportunity you can find on Facebook of somebody who lost someone or something, and you can kind of put yourself in their shoes if you're looking for that. But you know it's a good day. It's always a good day. I always try to be off from work on Memorial Day. I do that.
well, that's good. I think that's something that you don't have to proclaim your Memorial Day um, attitude on Facebook or social media to
Yeah,
have it mean something to you.
right.
And I feel guilty of that sometimes too.
Yeah,
Definitely for my financial business, I wanted to post something about Memorial Day, but everyone remembers is how I
yeah.
feel personally right now. Like
Hmm.
there's no one in America who doesn't know it's Memorial Day. So for me to post it, I feel almost sacrilegious in a way to the military.
Right.
Like, why am I posting this? Like everyone, for me personally, that's how I feel
Yeah,
at this moment in time.
yeah. Like,
So
would that person you're posting, what would they say? They would probably say, quit being a douche and go do something with your life. you know?
well, you don't have to tell everyone how you feel about me. I appreciate that, Bryson.
No, I've done it. I've
Yeah.
definitely,
Okay.
I'll go down that rabbit hole sometimes and just post a bunch of pictures just like everybody does. And it's just a way of remembering, and that's fine. I'm not hating on anybody. Like I said, I've certainly done
No, no. Oh, and again, to me, that's like my attitude towards it.
it. Yeah.
Like somebody who uh, that makes them feel that's the Memorial Day, like that makes them feel whole today. Like I totally suggest it. Like that is 100% what to do. But for me, it's that's what I'm saying. Like the perspective that I'm at is it feels weird for me to post that as a veteran in my situation, for my business. You know what I mean? Like so, if it was on my personal page, like um, I guess this is my Memorial Day tribute. This conversation,
Yeah.
but it's just weird to try to monetize that. I guess is how I look at it. Some people try to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And if that's your thing, go for it. Like you said, no skin off my back.
Exactly. All right. Well, I guess we were just about to wrap this up. I definitely want to end on a funny story because this has been a very deep conversation, and I hope you come back on the podcast again. Like this is unfortunately, guys, this is we maybe touched on 25% of the stuff we talked about last
Yeah.
week. Um, so there's definitely more insights I think you have. But funny story. Since you got out of the military, what's your favorite one?
Uh,
Like what comes to mind if you're like,
like the top story from the military. Oh man, that's a heavy question.
did you take your hat off on purpose and show us your bald? Because that is hilarious. You used to have so
Yeah,
much hair.
if you can see that, it's falling out. That's
I'm just
started.
messing
I
with you.
blame it. It started on deployment is what I blame. But I don't know, man. There's so many funny stories that we've had. Um, uh, I guess I could summarize it in like in a vague, broad statement. That these fuck. I wish I would have thought about this some more.
And explicit times two.
Yeah.
I mess with you.
Well, you tell me a story. Maybe that'll make me remember something.
Oh, from my military times. Let's see. I mean, it definitely involved Daryl, for sure. Trying to figure out which story. You know what? I'll tell you this story. The most embarrassing and how stupid I looked in front of a bunch of alpha males. Because that's not funny to me at all, but hopefully it'll be funny to everybody else. So when you're at the gun range with a 249, this is a separate incident before I was shooting with my Ray-Bans on, topless.
Mhm.
But we were on M249 training, and turns out I forgot how to do the belt feed. I forgot how to line up the bullets because brass to grass
Yeah.
had not been a term I had heard in a long time. So, mind you, this is so stupid. I cannot believe I'm saying this. I've been in the military at that point 5 years. And it had been that long since I had run an M249 that I fed it wrong. And I was recording myself trying to make a cool video.
Perfect.
So I'm lined up like, America. Poof. I don't know what's wrong. I don't. Grass to grass, dumbass. I was like, oh, I guess I should go ahead and stop recording. This is not a good video anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I'm trying
That
to
was
think
embarrassing.
of like what can I say too, because some of these stories I don't think I can say. But
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah.
no, so I'll tell a funny story. One of my good buddies, I won't mention his name. We were in Italy, and we were coming back from a night on the town, and we were both heavily intoxicated, and nobody had vehicles or anything like that. And if you took a taxi, you got dropped off at the gate, so you had to walk back, through base. And this was like a little post. It's called Del Den. It's second bat of the 173rd. And so we're walking back, and like I see these two guys, and I know one of them, and I start talking to the guy I know, and next thing you know, his like little buddy, he starts looking at me funny, and they're both drinking, obviously hanging outside the bees at probably 1 a.m. You know what they're doing, but his buddy's like started talking shit to me, like
I don't know what they're doing, but go ahead.
yeah. Like he was like, just starts running his mouth to me. And I'm like, he's like, 4 feet tall. And he comes up to me and he kind of gets in my face, and I'm trying to kind of de-escalate it, probably not doing a good job because of my sobriety at the time. And so he shoves me, and I take a few steps back. And about that time, my buddy, I didn't realize, had walked off because he wasn't part of the initial conversation. So right after the guy shoves me, I hear slap, 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 slap. Well, my buddy is like this. He's probably like 6'4", all arms and legs, really white guy. And the sound of these slaps was his Sperry's slapping the concrete as he's running towards us, because he saw this guy push me, and in his drunken state, he's just like, "Oh, fight," So
game over. Game over. Yeah. Here I go.
And he takes this guy out, like he tackles him. Now they're rolling around, and I look at the other guy I was initially talking to, like, what is happening right now? And so like they're on the ground fighting, and I let it go on, and my buddy is kind of getting his ass beat. Because the other guy's, kind of the stocky guy. And I let it go on for a little bit, but once the guy got on top of my buddy and like the full mount, and I see what's getting ready to happen, I stepped in and, did what our first sergeant always told us to, was, don't get in a fight, just choke somebody out and be done with it. And so that's what I did. That's the only time I've ever ever actually choked somebody out like to full unconsciousness. That was pretty cool. But yeah, so
I'm sure if he's listening right now, he probably is like, no, it wasn't that cool. But yeah, that was, from your perspective, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I just choked him until he started making like really weird noises, and then I let him go, and I don't know, we walked away. that's the only story I got. But he was a good friend.
That's pretty intense.
That's the kind of friends you need around you, is somebody who asks no questions and just jumps in, even if it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah, I think that's a very exaggerated type of story, but however, in the military, that wasn't that big of a deal.
No, that's
like in the civilian world, that would be a big deal. Like your friends just like tackle people when you're drunk together. That's very worrisome.
Yeah.
But in the military, in the environment, it is another level that unless you were there, you don't understand.
Yeah.
But having a friend like that, you're like, you know what? I could probably call him and get a ride right now because I'm drunk and he tackled somebody without even knowing what happened.
Yeah.
In the conversation.
Exactly. Yeah, and it happens all the time,
So
happens all the time. But definitely
that's great.
Miss having that, and but it's good stories we've got.
Well, I think we can still make some more. I think you have plenty of tackles left in you. That's a great pun. Give myself some credit on that one. But no, seriously, you definitely have a lot to offer. And I think from a management position, people who are getting out of the military, especially infantry, could lose nothing by talking with you or learning from you. So I hope you figure out a way to get that information out there, man.
Yeah, and if you'll put my information below the video, but if you want to link up on Facebook, it's just my name. Instagram's the same way. I think TikTok is the same way. Like I said, I'm not a very active member on that, but
you better get on TikTok. You better be active on that. I'm changing the veteran community. Help me out here, man.
I mean, what do I got to do? Throw on like a thong, and that seems to be the trend. Show what you got.
I don't know which TikToks you're watching.
I don't know either.
But I don't get those.
I'm just there.
No, turns out dancing and showing I guess being basic is all I know how to put that.
Yeah.
Is a trendy thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of people are, on this level. But the beautiful thing about TikTok is don't worry about what content you put out. The people who need to hear it will listen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
So if you get if you have one person who watches each video you make, a 15, 30 second, 60-second video, if one person learned from it that needed to hear it, was it worth it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's some guy out there posting videos on how to tie the proper knot in electric fencing, and I'm the weirdo watching those videos. So I guess, I'm thankful for that. And that seems like the most simpleton video you could put, but to your point, there's somebody.
It's pretty important.
Yep.
If you don't know how to tie that knot in that fence for electrical, bye goats, right? No more goats.
Yeah. But no, I don't know. I've been pretty open with some of my transitional stuff, online, and I don't mind putting it out there, the troubles I've had, getting out, and like I've said before, I think that's the important thing, is just to be open with it and don't hold it in, and don't think that you're the only one. I think that's
that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing.
Like that's a bad human trait that I think we all have, is thinking you're the only one, and you're not. There's plenty of people feeling the exact same thing, doing the exact same thing. You just got to basically get over yourself and reach out.
But that's hard to do, Bryson. You have no idea. Like our egos are so small, right?
Yeah, our egos are so small.
And I really do appreciate you. It meant a lot to me when you reached out on last week after listening to Daryl's podcast. I put a lot of work and effort into this, and these kinds of conversations are ones that I never would have dreamed of happening.
Right. Yeah.
Honestly, like I thought it was going to be just a way for me to have a thing for learning from people. Like I love hearing other people's stories, but I never realized how much it would make that conversation with the guy who I saw wearing a sock in basic. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those weird things.
Yeah. That's
But I do appreciate you reaching out.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. Again, I think it's a great thing you're doing here. I look forward to seeing, where the Blue Falcon podcast goes.
Yeah,
and I think,
I can't believe I named Blue Falcon.
it's
that was a terrible idea.
catchy. It's catchy.
Yeah.
I probably have a couple Blue Falcon stories. If I think of them, I'll email them to you. Maybe we'll start a thread on your on the Blue Falcon podcast Facebook page or something.
You know what? That would be pretty funny if you could start stories, like
Yeah.
just 30-second, or 2-3 minute stories, and if you can post it on the Facebook podcast page.
Yeah.
And then, I think we could all probably relate to it.
That would be great. That's what I'll do. The next truly funny story I think of, I'll record it, and I'll post a video on there, and hopefully.
Okay, so we're getting a commitment out of you.
Yeah, well, hopefully others will do the same, because I know, you get these random thoughts throughout the day, and it would be nothing for me to take 2 minutes to tell a funny story that I know y'all can relate to.
How many funny stories on average do you have a day?
Oh, God. Probably 5.
Okay, so according to my math, you've only had 3, maybe 4 so far. So can we get a commitment from you for a video of a funny story before midnight tonight?
Oh, God. Sure.
I use your own numbers against you.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do one video by midnight tonight.
All right, cool. And I'll also ask anybody who's listening or watching, do the same thing. Like just one person who's listening, it'd be awesome to hear a funny story from you, and it'll make Bryson know that he's not the only one putting himself out there. So don't be Blue Falcon on this one. Somebody reach out, and we can make this fun.
Yeah, because if you don't, I'm only going to post worse and worse, more crude and vulgar videos until Bobby has to block me.
You know what's funny about this is I don't think you wouldn't do that. I believe you 100%.
How about I just tell you a story about this? How about one we'll close it out with this story.
Shoot.
Okay, so I have whenever I go or move somewhere for training or vacation or something.
Pause. Time out. You have to record this and put it on the Facebook page. Well, we're gonna stop here because we reached a perfect hour and 25 minutes.
Okay. All right.
So
I will definitely. Yeah, I'll try.
I'm pushing you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I'll try to find pictures to go along with this story if I can, but I'll definitely get something on there, and I won't.
Right.
Hopefully, I won't.
We got enough of a teaser.
Yeah.
You won't ruin a what?
I said hopefully I won't incriminate anyone. I'll try not to.
Make up different names, right?
Yeah,
that's easy to do. All right, well, guys, thank you so much for listening to the Blue Falcon podcast. It's definitely been a fun Memorial Day for me. Bryson, thank you for sitting through this with me as the first time we ever do a YouTube live video. And we've had up to 10 people watching at one time, it looks like. So that's fun. The Blue Falcon podcast, you can follow us on Facebook. And I'll try to edit this later into our username. But on every podcast platform there is, you can find us, the Blue Falcon podcast. Also Instagram, and no TikTok yet, but you can follow me at bobby.money. And we have some Blue Falcon podcast stuff on there as well. So last words from you, Bryson, and we'll go ahead and log this off and cue the music.
Yeah. So again, thank you so much, Bobby, for having me on. I look forward to coming back on. I'll hopefully be a better guest next time. But dude, yeah,
You're great,
just
man.
along the same lines as Daryl said in his closing statements, you're not alone. Holler at me if you want to. If not, holler at somebody else. Holler at Bobby. But I think it's a huge community we have out there that's pretty much untapped, and we need to close that gap. So it's been fun, man. I look forward to posting this story here in a few hours.
I'm really looking forward to it.
All right, man.
All right, man. Well, Bryson, thank you so much for opening up, and we'll go ahead and log off the podcast. Everyone have a great week. Be safe out there, and God bless America. See you later.
Yeah.
All right, this is gonna be the awkward part where I'm like, stop recording, but YouTube is still streaming. That's great. All right. Okay. How do I stop the live recording?